That's one answer for sure. Everyone wants to be astronauts. What is analog astronaut? So analog astronauts, I like the astronauts on Earth, graduated from Cranfield University with a master's in astronautics and space engineering. That's one of the reasons why we were trained as a divers. We were trained as divers and skydivers after the mission, just to have an experience how things go around. So this is one of the safest place for astronauts to stay. So EuroMoonMars is conducting an analog mission where it actually wants to deploy a habitat that's a house for astronauts. Inside
Hey guys, welcome to the Aviation Surf podcast. And on this episode, we've got Joel, who is an amazing personality who has achieved a lot of things in his life, who is an analog astronaut at EuroMoonMars, who has been through a lot of responsibilities, a lot of training, a lot of experiences as well. So before we proceed with the podcast, Joel, please introduce yourself and why you got involved in space and what made you choose this career and what influenced you in the first place.
Yeah. So, hey, Junaid, as you know, my full name is Joel Manohar. And then I want to correct a bit of yourself. So it's like I do not have much experience, but I have passion towards space. So that's what brought me here. So I recently got graduated from Cranfield University with a master's in astronautics and space engineering. And I pursued my bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering back in India from Christ University, Bangalore. And right now, I've got selected as analog astronauts with EuroMoonMars organization, where I got trained in Analog Astronaut Training Center. And then I'm also a space engineer and analog astronaut for Ignition Kuwait. And I'm the head of Mars Society UK Students Chapter for analog missions. Yeah, so that's a brief, small description about me.
All right, Joel.
Grateful for
So,
that. Yeah.
like you stated, why did you choose Cranfield University in the first place and why astronautics and space engineering?
So eventually, when I was doing my bachelor's mechanical engineering back from India, I'm fortunate enough to have two of my favorite professors. So one of his name is Dr. Shankar Venkataraman. So he was the technical director of DRDO. So through him, I did my final year project with gas turbine engines. And then he's the one who actually introduced me to human space flight, space engineering and all these kind of things. And my second favorite professor was Tejraju sir. So he's from Christ University as well. So he's the one who always pushes me forward, like you can do anything, you can do anything. So that's how it all started. But to be honest, being an astronaut actually cemented later in my life. When I was a kid, I keenly remember when my mom asked me, "What do you want to be in future?" I said, "I want to be a bus driver."
Okay.
Because I like driving and stuff. And then later it turned out to be a pilot, and right now I want to be an astronaut. Yeah. And then after I finished my bachelor's, my professor suggested me about Cranfield University because it's very known for aerospace. So that's how I ended up here. And then, of course, like if someone says about a uni, what you do, you Google it. So, and I've seen the gorgeous airport which Cranfield has got, and I fell in love with it. And I
All
came
right.
here.
All right. So, how was your total experience with Cranfield and how was the total experience with the program? I've heard the program is very intensive. So, is it such that?
Yeah, for me, it was quite intense because I'm from mechanical engineering background and I have no idea about aviation or aerospace engineering. So I came here and it was pretty tough for me to understand. And diverse people, you have people all around the world speaks different language and which have different mindsets and different age groups. So some people might understand really quick, some people may not. So I'm the second category, which will not understand so quick. And so there's a subject called space propulsion, which I faced a lot of problem with. So I have one of my close friend as my classmate. His name is Akshay. So he's also from India, but he already have experience of all of this. So he helped me get through the course really quick. Yeah. So at the last, I enjoyed my group design project and individual research project because they were directing towards more of a practical stuff where you get to meet people and you talk to people who are more experienced. And then I felt pretty comfortable later.
I see. So, all of these universities, especially the master universities, they've got group projects, they've got individual theses, and you've got research papers as well. So, what is a few insights you would give to the MSc students who are currently pursuing or who want to pursue in the future? Or what do you recommend to get few insights, few tips and tricks here and there to actually get hold of these bigger MSc thesis projects?
Okay, so it's just my perspective. It's not a recommendation or something. It's just my own perspective, and it actually did work for me. So I would go with something which will actually help me in the future. For example, if you want to do a thermal engineer, maybe try to take a group project. If you want to be into human space flight, you try to take a topic which is related to that, and then you have subtopics in that, like you have systems engineer, you have thermal engineers, you have a lot of subcategories. So you choose thermal engineer, and then it's basically giving you a bit of experience, because you're really not experienced into industries, but when the industries ask you, when you apply for them, you can use this as a proof, and then you can get along. And then individual research project, because you're going to spend most time on it, it's one of the most important thing. So for me, I want to be an astronaut, so that's the reason I selected a thesis with the collaboration with EuroMoonMars, which helped me to be an analog astronaut.
Amazing. All of these projects and all of these group projects we do, especially for the master students, they help us a lot eventually, because all of
Yes,
these projects are collaborated with the industries and other stuff as well. That is one of the reasons why Cranfield University tops the most, because of the industry relations it has.
definitely. Yeah, Cranfield is known for it. I believe Cranfield has a lot of opportunities for people to come over. I think you need to show yourself and put yourself in the front, and things will happen.
For sure. Now, Joel, you have stated that you got involved with EuroMoonMars. So, can you please elaborate what it is and how did you get along with it and how did you find in the first place? Because a lot of people don't have these kind of options. They don't find these kind of companies itself. They know bigger companies such as Airbus, Boeing, but these smaller organizations or societies or whatever the other stuffs are there. So, how do you look into these kind of things and look for these projects?
So eventually, even I did target on the big companies like Airbus, there's Boeing, and the huge British Airways, British Aerospace, sorry, and there's like huge companies. But I need to remember that I have no experience, because I just finished my bachelor's and I've come here. So it's very difficult for me to get something like that, even in internship. And later, the sponsoring of visa also comes into picture. So I was like kind of struggling here, and then I'm concentrating more on LinkedIn, because there are a lot of opportunities, and people often forget that LinkedIn is a really big platform. It's one of the professionals and one of the biggest platforms. That's how you and me met, isn't it? So
It
yeah,
is.
so
I approached Joel
exactly.
because of one of my friends actually liked one of his pictures, and then he had a astronaut suit with him. I was like, "Whoa, Joel! He's from Cranfield Universities as well." So I'm gonna be messaging back and forth on LinkedIn for
Yeah,
very long, and I'm glad that we're doing it right now. Yeah.
it's my pleasure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So through the LinkedIn, I've seen the post of EuroMoonMars. So they are searching for analog astronauts. So basically, they came up with a new topic. So in the future, astronauts on Mars, they will not stay on the surface, most probably. They'll be staying inside the lava tubes on the Mars. So this is one of the safest place for astronauts to stay. So EuroMoonMars is conducting an analog mission where it actually wants to deploy a habitat, that's a house for astronauts, inside the lava tube. So we have this time window of 8 hours, because the oxygen suits, the space suits of NASA will support oxygen only for 8 hours. Correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, I believe it's 8 hours. So in this 8 hours of time period, you need to deploy the habitat inside the lava tube. So we are trying to understand by doing it on Earth. That's the simulator. So if we could achieve something here, so in the process, we can understand what kind of challenges these astronauts might face, so we can rectify it and things like that. So I got this, and then I applied. So obviously, we had an interview, and then I do not have enough experience, so I couldn't go. But I met a friend. Her name is Charlotte, and I have another friend called Mark. These two are really inspiring for me. So Charlotte is a systems engineer in Airbus, and Mark is geologist. So these are the ones who are selecting team for the EuroMoonMars. But they said I can do thesis with them with the same thing. So my thesis is to design an access system so that I can actually work to help the astronauts go inside this lava tube, because these lava tubes are way big. They're like 100 meters deep and maybe much more than that. So yeah, that's all about my project. Uh, Through this process, the head of this is called Bernard Foing. So he's a French scientist. He already sent a mission from European Space Agency, and then he saw my potential, and then he told me to attend few of his meetings, and I've attended, and I got to know about this analog astronaut mission. And then yeah, then that's how I got selected as analog astronaut, and I've been involved with them. So that's about EuroMoonMars organization. But actually,
Amazing. Yeah.
EuroMoonMars organization has two things. So EuroMoonMars organization itself is a big thing, and then we have something called Chill Ice mission. So Chill Ice is like you're building a habitat inside a lava tube. That's in other completely different analog missions. Yeah.
Amazing. All right. You've been through a lot, basically through networking, because that is how
Yes.
everything works in this world right now.
Yeah.
And then
Yes.
without networking, you might not be able to move forward with that. What is analog astronaut? What is the definition of it? So what do you do? And does it actually implies that you're going to be an astronaut in the future?
Okay. So firstly, what is analog astronaut? So analog astronauts are like the astronauts on Earth who we are doing the experiments just like what we're going to do in space, like the real astronauts, to find out what problems we might face. That's pretty much. And then there's no guarantee that you're going to be an astronaut for sure. So this is like an introduction to an astronaut life. You get to do things like astronauts. You survive like astronauts, and so it makes you realize whether you fit for the role or not. So when I'm going through this process, I didn't know that I have that capabilities. So then I realized that you are way bigger than who you are. You might think you're too small, but you have a lot of capabilities. All we need is a passion to push yourself, and then yeah, you can reach heights.
You have stated that you were designing the access
Yeah.
systems
Yeah.
for the EuroMoonMars as your master's thesis. I don't know how much
Yeah.
you can tell me about the project, but how difficult was it to get hold of information and get hold of designing and all of the other inputs?
I think it was so difficult for me because there's no much information given about it. Because at the moment, we know that robots are going to Mars and Moon, like rovers, and then we do not have much information about accessing these lava tubes. However, there are few things which have been done. The concept wise, it's like still an idea stage. So I did not get much whole information about literature survey. So I'm trying to understand. So I'm going to fuse different kinds of technologies which are already available in space
Mhm.
using literature survey, and that's how I came with this. Well, if you want to know much about it, I can send you my final year thesis report, which is not yet released again, so which I cannot
Okay.
talk right now, but
Yeah,
definitely soon. Yeah.
for sure. Thank you. All right. So now you've made the analog astronaut definition very intriguing. What was your experience? What was your training look like as an analog astronaut? And then what was your daily life occurrences? And what was the whole stuff that you did in the whole training procedures you had? Can you please elaborate?
Yeah. So as I already mentioned earlier, analog astronaut means it's like an introduction to the astronaut life on
Yeah.
Earth. So you're gonna face all the difficulties, not like actual astronauts, of course, but you can face maybe I can say 1/4 of it at least. Okay, I'm gonna tell you how it all started. So as soon as we got selected, and then we were called to Poland to Krakow. So we were trained by Dr. Agata and then Matt. It's Agata's partner. So these two are taking care of Analog Astronaut Training Center. So we represent EuroMoonMars organization. So we have special machines called MPOL. It's called EuroMoonMars Poland missions because it's happening in Poland, but actually EuroMoonMars is in Netherlands. And then we went there, and they took us to the city to have a visit, and we are really tired. We're really tired, and all five of us, they told us, okay, let's go for a hike at night 10. So they want to see how our team coordinates in darkness. There's no lights. It's all about darkness. So seeing it's like it all started eventually on the first day, and we took rest after the hiking was done, and then next day morning we were taken to the habitat. So the habitat, they took us in the evening, so we cannot see anything. So basically, our mission control room is far away. So it's like we are 4 hours away. So you're taken inside a jungle, and we have a habitat on a lunar lander, which we so called as lunar lander, but it's a car. But we cannot see the way. We cannot see the way. So we have no idea where we're going. So basically, we are not in touch. So if there are any emergency situations, they need to travel like 4 kilometers up and down. Sorry, 4 hours up and down. You know what I mean? So you need to be extremely careful for what you're doing. And then we were taken into the habitat. On the first day, there was briefing.
Mhm.
So we were told, we know we're already aware of what experiments we're doing. And right now we could see them and we could sense them. And if we have any questions, we're gonna ask them. And from then the day one starts. So here from this day, you have no idea about the time. You're not in contact with anyone. So basically you're not related to Earth timings. So the moment you wake up, that's when the mission time starts. And when they say the mission time ends. So we always say mission time plus 0, that means you just woke up. And then mission time plus 2, that means like after 2 hours and things like this. And first thing what we do, we have medical checkups. So first thing early morning, what we do is we get up and we have a questionnaire to fill. So it's like they're trying to understand how our brain works. And then we collect a urine because we need to understand how our body is behaving. And then we collect the saliva samples. So using that samples, we can understand much more in detail. So we have a medical doctor, which is especially for this, and he takes a blood and all these kind of things. And then we start with the briefing along with the breakfast. We're going to have breakfast and we'll have briefing together. So I'm the commander, so I'll be briefing. So what experiments we're going to do and how things we're going to do. So I'm going to give responsibilities to each other. And I'm so fortunate enough and I'm so happy to say that my team is extremely motivating. And I never got an opportunity to become a commander because everyone is already doing the work.
Okay.
So yeah, it's one of the most
Yeah.
motivating thing which happened to me.
Yeah.
And then we do the experiments, we get to the experiments, and then we have lunch breaks. But in middle of the experiments, so basically you need to follow the strict timing. We have a timetable which will be given by mission control room, that is from the earth, and we have a display and we have monitors, so we can monitor carbon dioxide levels and all the other things. And in middle there are emergencies. So with these emergencies, for example, there's a gas leak, so you need to take all the precautions. You are stuck inside a room for like 3-4 hours and you have very less oxygen, so it's like you close the room. At that point of time, they're actually trying to see how our brain works and how fast it responds. So we did a mistake. It's not kind of mistake, I think it's like general human tendency. So we are in a team and it's been 1.5 hour and there's no oxygen at all. It's like not at all, like there's really less oxygen, we can feel it, the breathing difficulties. So I don't want my team to get panic, so we started singing songs. And when
Okay.
we're singing songs, the carbon dioxide level is increasing, so they want to see how we respond to all these kind of things. That's one. And then we heard from the MCC that we have solar flares coming up, and then we need to isolate into one of the rooms. And then right now, after the solar flares has gone, we need to check the radiation. And then they told us you need to check the radiation, and we went, we saw the instrument, and it's in Russian, and you need to learn Russian now. It's all like quick process. You need to, your brain should going up and down fast. So, and we are working for 18 hours straight, and then we are exposed to radiation, UV lights, and then we are running for at least 10 kilometers an hour. And then yeah, it's way intense work. And then we are going through psychological problems because we are in isolation, and we are always over the lights are always on.
Okay.
So yeah, it's an amazing experience, that's what I could say. Yeah,
It is actually the way you have described it feels like you're describing the same kind of events that happens in space, and the way you have coped with it and the way you have collaborated amongst your colleagues as well. So it's really inspiring,
yeah,
really proud of you that you have done that.
thank you so much.
Yeah.
It happened because of my friends, and I would like to say thank you to Agatha and Matt for supporting us, and Bernard.
Yeah. All right. In terms of your future strategy, what you want to aim for now, you've managed to done so much of stuff during your after your master's thesis or during your master's program, and all of these organizations that you have worked with. So, what is your future strategy? What is your end term goal that you want to actually achieve?
Okay, so recently I've applied for Citizen Astronaut by Project POSM. So people may not be aware. So right now, new space era is coming. So there's something called Citizen Astronauts where it's accessible for everyone. If you want to be an astronaut, this is a new gate. For example, we've seen Virgin Galactic and we can see Blue Origin right now coming up, and there are like private space institutes are coming up. So I want to be a part of that, but I actually want to be an astronaut, like the real astronaut, the actual astronaut. So I'm trying to understand how to actually get in there. So I'm trying to get as many experience as possible. So one of the biggest experience I can get is from Analog Astronaut missions. And right now I'm looking for a full-time job, so I can get the practical experience. And then later I'll be choosing Citizen Astronaut. So I want to dedicate myself for the astronaut training through Citizen Astronaut program. So if people are not aware, there are many agencies which are training Citizen Astronaut. We have Project POSUM, we have Advancing X, and we have something called Austrian Space Form. And in future, Analog Astronaut Training Center, they're gonna start their own Citizen Astronaut program. They have a beautiful habitat coming up, which is underwater.
Okay.
This is much more exciting. That's one of the reasons why we were trained as a divers. We were trained as divers and skydivers after the mission, just to have an experience how things go around. So yeah, so there are a lot of things coming up. We never know. And then recently I got a phone call from Raj Gopalan sir from India. So yeah, he was a scientist in ISRO, and right now they're starting their own analog mission. So I'm going to take part in that. Yeah, so a lot of things coming up. A lot of things coming up. Yeah,
lot of things coming up actually for
yeah,
you,
yeah.
and then I'm really proud of that. You are inspiring to a lot of generations. Now, Joel, you want to be an astronaut in the end, that's for sure. As per me, correct me if I'm wrong, but most of the astronauts who have been employed by NASA or some other bigger organizations have their pilot's license as well. So are you looking forward to get a pilot's license? And you also told me that you wanted to become a pilot in the first place. So are you
Yeah,
looking
so
forward to getting your pilot's license as well?
definitely, I would love to. I would love to. Right now, I'm still at 22 age. So I'm struggling with financial crisis at the moment because I didn't have a full-time job, and I don't want to be a struggle to my parents. But I'm trying to do as much as I can. So once you get selected as a citizen astronaut, they'll take care of everything. So
Oh,
that's
okay.
what I'm trying to understand. Yeah. So yeah, I think Cranfield will definitely support me in future because I'm an alumni of this place, and yeah, there are few people who can help me, whom I know. Analog Astronaut Training Center has its own course, so where I can be trained as a pilot. So definitely I'm going to take forward of these opportunities.
For sure. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to you
Thank you. That
becoming a
was a good
pilot as
question.
well.
That was a really good question. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Joel, for the future aspirants who want to get into the career you are in right now and who want to get hold of these smaller organizations or the programs you have stated before, what tips would you give them and what insights would you give them to start, making this career suitable for them and then, getting those requirements as well?
Okay. I really do not know if this is a recommendation or suggestion. So I'm going to talk about only my perspective.
Yeah.
It might be wrong. It might be wrong. So everyone is totally different. So if I was you, so what I'm going to do was I'm going to concentrate more on private companies, the small companies, because you have more opportunities, and because I do not belong here. So it's going to be hard to get the bigger companies. It's not their mistake. It's not my mistake. It's just the policies of space companies. So we cannot do anything about it. And then I would say you don't know who's watching you. And I know people are watching everyone. So give your best. That's what I can say, because I really do not have something like I want to be an astronaut. But after I got the taste of this Analog Astronaut, and I've got these beautiful mentors with me who pushed me and they showed me that you can be one among them. So through the process, I found that they're not looking for people with extraordinary minds. They're looking for people with extraordinary mindset. If you're passion, you can do anything. That's what I surround my people with motivation. Everyone around me are like really motivated. For them, they can do anything. They can be an NBA basketball player. They can be an astronaut. They can be a marine. They can be anything.
Okay.
So yeah, that's what made me. And then yeah, just go with the dreams. Things happen. It's gonna take time, but don't give up.
For
Keep pushing.
sure. Very well said. Like Joel, you have stated that you had a very bright team amongst you as an analog astronaut when you were back getting trained as well. So what happened to them and where are they right now? Where are they presently? And do you know what they want to end up going towards?
Well, so everyone want to be astronauts. Okay, that's one answer for sure. Everyone wants to be astronauts. So I have a friend called Louis, and then he's the vice commander of a mission, and he's gonna do citizen astronaut program as a project person. He's gonna go in March for sure. Yeah, he's gonna go in March. And then I have Luke as a communication officer. So he's gonna do his second master's in University of Arizona. And then he did the experiments on geology. So he's trying to understand how we can use lunar regolith to grow plants and things like that. And we have a data officer, Nadia. So she's an astrophysics student who is really motivated. And then she's from Glasgow University. And then we have an extremely talented man, Dr. Tomiso. He's a doctor, and right now he's specialized in hyperbatic diving and a lot of other things. If I talk about those technical things, even I don't understand what he's talking about. He's way intense. And then even he wanted to be an astronaut. That's who he came. He's from Italy. He was sponsored by University of Padua. And fingers crossed, I think I always wish him good luck because I see a lot of qualities in him. And I strongly believe everyone in this crew has ability to become astronauts.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much, Joel, for coming over and speaking so much of your experiences, your journey towards becoming this successful in this career by this age, actually, which is very inspiring to a lot of people out there. So before we end over this podcast, we've got a few rapid fire questions for you, if you don't mind.
Yeah, keep shooting.
All right. Now, Joel, what is one thing you want to change about the world if you had the chance? If you had the one opportunity that you want to change about the world?
I think I would remove these backgrounds, like India, US or something, the boundaries. So for space industry, I think that's a very big thing. So just because we belong to some other thing, it doesn't mean that we don't have right stuff to do something.
What is one regret you have in your life that you haven't yet accomplished or that you want to actually accomplish in the life? So which is one regret you have?
Regret. To be honest, I really enjoyed my life till now. So I do not have many regrets.
Yeah.
But I think I would be, okay, so I have a lot of broken bones in my body because I was really a naughty kid. So I think I would be more disciplined in life when I was a kid. So I can push myself much more. So I think this might affect me in future because you need to be extremely strong physically. So I do not know how this might affect. So I have this small feeling back. It might affect, but yeah, that's a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
One last question. And what is one major tip would you give to the students who want to pursue the career you are in? Or the industry, or especially the space industry you want to get hold of?
Yeah. So I'm not yet successful. I think I'm on the way. on the way. So
Okay.
yeah, hopefully the way is good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think you need to have connections with
Hmm.
knowledge. You need to have both. So both of them play a really important role. So you might be knowledgeable, and then it might be really difficult for you to get something. So just don't put anything inside you. Try to speak out, because you never know. The more stupid you think, the more knowledgeable you are. I'm not kidding. I'm not
Yeah.
kidding. That
Yeah.
that really works.
It does.
So yeah, we are looking for people who thinks outside the box. And then this happens only, for example, like Elon Musk, when he went to Russia for asking rockets, they laughed at him. Look at him. He changed the world right now.
For sure. Yeah. Being
Yeah,
confident,
thinks.
being very optimistic in your future also helps a lot and goes a
Yeah.
long way.
And
So
on the
yeah.
way, you're gonna meet people. You're gonna
Yeah.
talk to people whom you have no business with.
Yeah.
So eventually, you do not know if you're going there or not. But when you're doing things, these will help you to get there.
For sure. Yeah.
So just trust in the process, enjoy the journey, and then go forward.
Very well said. Thank you. Thank you, Joel, for coming over this podcast and sharing your journey, your experience towards becoming this analog astronaut and your future strategy as well, which not a lot of people actually share. But thank you so much for coming over, giving these tips to the future aspirants who want to get into space industry as well. So thank you. And you've been inspiring to a lot of people. You've been inspiring to a lot of generations as well. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Junaid. It's
Yeah.
been a pleasure being here.